What's going on, everybody? We got a big one today. Episode 100. Yeah, that's right. 100. The big 100. Can you believe it's been that long? Almost 3 years ago. Exactly. It took us a little while to get here. And today we got a real special episode. I want to really walk through some of the history with you and talk a little bit about the most important things that I've learned through this process, people that have helped me through this process, where we've been and where we're going, and just connect with you in a really powerful way because this world needs leaders just like you, and that's what GLE is all about. So, as I think back to the story of the start, I think back to almost exactly 3 years ago. It was beginning of 2020. I had just by chance, serendipitously been looking into entrepreneurship, and a friend of mine introduced me to some Gary V content, right? And Gary, he says everybody only has like 1 year of content, and I listened to a lot of Gary early on. I haven't listened to much lately, but yeah, he helped me a lot early on and kind of created that entrepreneur spark, I guess. But I had been binging that. I'd heard this Grant Cardone interview. I posted some stuff on it recently. If you haven't watched that interview, it's really good. It's Rob Moore, the disruptive entrepreneur, and Grant Cardone on December 9th, 2019. And again, I was going back through my old videos. I took a video of my TV as I was watching it on YouTube back in early 2020, late one night. And just some mindset in that video hit me. And something I want to kind of say about as you're listening and learning from people, just because you don't like one thing about someone or don't agree with one thing that someone else believes or does, doesn't mean you can't learn a lot of really important, great things from those people. And I think a lot of times people are really quick to just say, Grant Cardone, isn't he a Scientologist? Right? Like, why would I listen to that guy? Scientologists, aren't they a little crazy? Some people think that. And, I have my hesitations and reservations and questions about what Scientology is and is all about. And, I'm a Christian, obviously, and I don't really know anything about Scientology. If I got real, like, I don't know anything about it. Does it seem like something I wanted to pursue or want to pursue? But, it's one of those, we're very quick to just say, oh, that's bad. I'm going to now ignore everything someone says because I don't, because they're a Muslim or they're a Christian or they're, whatever. And that's just really short-sighted, silly way to think about it. So what you got to ask yourself is, do they have the results I want? Do these people have results in areas of relationships, time, money, skills? Do they act how I'd want to act? Do people look at them and respect them the way I'd want to be looked at and respected? That is, if you're going to take advice from people, that is truly the most important question. And it sounds harsh, but it's a harsh reality that, if people don't have what you want, then you should probably question their advice and go look for people that actually have the relationships, faith included, money, time, relationships. Do they actually have results in those areas? So early 2020, I just happened to be looking at entrepreneurship. I wasn't on social media. My wife and I were training for MS 150 bike race. It's a fundraising bike ride for multiple sclerosis, 150 miles, right? By the way, if you haven't shopped around road bikes, holy crap, they're expensive. I didn't know what I was getting into there, but we were driving SAG that day for a training ride, which is where you basically ride around in your truck or your vehicle, and if people break down on their bike, you pick them up and take them to the stop. So I'm just, I'm parked on the side of the road, and there's this bike's whizzing by me, and I'm bored out of my mind. I mean, it's like an all-day Saturday deal. I get this, I think it was a text from my buddy Tony Whatley. Used to work with him. And he just said he was starting an entrepreneur group. And I hope I'm remembering all this right. But he said he was starting an entrepreneur group, the 365 Driven Society. And, here's a link to join. And it was on Facebook. So I went and looked it up. It was $365, $1 a day. And if you were the first 100 members, then you got membership for life. I've been thinking about entrepreneurship. He launched this group. I figured, what the heck? I got my buddy. I'll support my buddy. I love supporting my friends. That's one thing, most people are looking to get discounts from their friends. I'm the kind of guy that's going to pay my friends extra because, I want to help out my friends. And, I want other friends like that. I want friends that fight over the bill. They're not looking for somebody else to pick up the bill. I had people in my college days, like they'd only want to hang out with you if you were going to buy drinks or dinner and stuff. And, easily get taken advantage of from that sort of thing. So, I figure, what the heck? I'm going to support my buddy. These are circles of people I would not normally spend time with, right? This is a bunch of entrepreneurs types. Maybe I can learn something. That was literally all I thought. This was like March. I think March was the first month in 2020. And man, it's so funny. First thing we were asked to do, video challenge every day for a month, make a video, put it on social media. Holy crap. I didn't have social. I was on LinkedIn, but you want me to make a video and put it on my LinkedIn for everybody to see? Like, holy moly. I had no idea what I was going to do. I figured creating other social medias and, not using my LinkedIn would be cheating. So I was like, oh, what did I get into? Why did I do this? I almost quit. Like I almost was just like throw in the towel, but I'm like, no, it's pushing me. It's something I would never have chosen to do or thought to do or wanted to do. Maybe I'll do it. So what can I talk about? Well, that's how I kind of ended up on leadership. It's like, well, I'm passionate about leadership. I've been in a lot of leadership roles. I know a lot about leadership. I can talk about leadership. I've got decades of experience in leadership from being captain of every sports team I've ever been on, and in leadership roles through my job. So, and church volunteer roles, right? Let's talk about leadership. That's what that was my mindset. It's like, well, I guess I could talk about that. So I bought a little lapel mic and started this video challenge, and boom, just like that, COVID lockdowns. Like, what a month to start a video challenge or a social media related thing when everybody got locked down, sent home, and now we're all on our computers going virtual during COVID. And we would do these weekly calls with the group, and people would just hop on and hang out and talk about business and ask questions. And we just hang out. Some people would have some drinks. I'd sit and smoke a cigar, and we would just talk about business and help each other grow. And I was on one call. We were talking about podcasting. Heather Parody, actually, I love Heather. She's blown up. Real proud of Heather. She's an early guest on the GLE podcast. So thank you, Heather, for coming on the show and for all you taught me. I really owe you a tremendous amount for even starting the podcast. But she and I had a call one day, and she just walked me through like what it takes and tips and tricks for starting a podcast. And I literally, the next day, sitting at my kitchen table with that silly little lapel mic, no fancy microphone. I bought that lapel mic on Amazon for $10 or something. I just started a podcast. I recorded episode 001 of GLE, Why Lead Everything. I had no plan. I had no marketing strategy. I had no business idea. I just hit the go button. And, I want to, in this episode, just in a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through some of the most important lessons I've learned. But I didn't include this one because I wanted to share it here. One of the most important lessons I can possibly relay to you is, if something is on your heart, just start. If something is on your heart to do it. Now, go. What are you waiting for? Go start it. You do not have to quit your whole life. You do not have to give up your obligations, responsibilities, right? I'm not telling you to do that. So hear my heart and don't hear what you want to hear. Maybe if you're going through some challenges, you can do that. It depends on what you're called to do and move to do, but, get real with yourself, figure out what's on your heart to do. Maybe it's just be a better father. Maybe it's be a better husband. Maybe it's be a better employee. Right? Maybe it's go start a business on the side. Maybe it's go to church more often, more regularly. study God's word more regularly, build some daily habits, whatever you have on your heart to do, just start. Baby steps. Pick one thing and start. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But, we've come such a long way. Like I went back and listened to episode 001, Why Lead Everything, just to like gauge where I was back then, because I hadn't listened to it in forever. And oh my gosh, like what blew me away is how on point the mission of what we're trying to do still is. Like the mission really hasn't changed. My skills have gone through the roof compared to then, but the mission hasn't changed. And, for not having a marketing plan and not having a strategy, yeah, you see some people blow up and get crazy numbers and millions of downloads and all this stuff like really fast. And I take a lot of notes from them because I have a lot to learn from them. But I just wanted to share some stats, which are pretty incredible. So we've been doing this 3 years. My goal is to do an episode a week. I failed at that. We're at episode 100, 3 years in. So I'm about, 50 episodes-ish short of that. So I failed. I used to be afraid to fail. I used to be afraid of looking stupid. And that's part of the reason why most people aren't willing to put out videos. They're afraid they're going to say something wrong or look stupid or someone's going to laugh at them and blah, blah, blah. Like until you get over that, I don't think you can even grow up. So I've done a lot of growing up over the last 3 years. And, one of them is just related to it, being able to easily admit and not think it's a big deal. It's just not that big a deal. Like everybody screws up, and you all know my heart and what I'm trying to do. And so, people that know me will give me the benefit of the doubt, and people that don't want to aren't going to anyway. And I don't really care. So, we recently crossed 10,000 downloads of like official podcast downloads, which is pretty cool. Right. It's not 100,000. It's not a million. It's not a billion, but 10,000. I mean, that's 100 plays an episode. Think about it. Like, think about filling up. So from scratch, you basically created a college, university, auditorium, lecture hall weekly where you got 100 people that show up voluntarily to listen to you. Think about that. That's pretty cool. And, it's hard to get an accurate count of subscribers, but I know I at least got a couple few hundred subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, we're touching 42 countries with the podcast. No marketing plan, no strategy, no nothing. I just looked. I haven't really been tracking social media stats at all or having a plan around growing it. Again, admitting my mistakes, right? This is not the way to do things, but learn from me on what not to do, right? You can learn things from people on what not to do, just as you can learn what to do. So remember that if you're in a position, if you got people you don't think are great leaders or whatever, learn things not to do, right? You can still learn. So don't turn off your learning mind. We have just started over the last couple months reaching over 100,000 sets of eyes on social media. So about 20 to 60,000 on every platform in like 28-day periods. That's pretty nuts. At least it is for me. I wasn't even on social media 3 years ago. I had no clue about social. I had deleted most of my old networks because I was like so stupid back then. I can't believe that I would have deleted my old. I could probably still activate it and try to do something with my old Facebook or whatever, but like I had deleted numbers of people, and it was just really, that's bad advice. Your network is super powerful. Y'all should maintain it like 100%. But over 100,000 sets of eyes a month. Quick math on that. That's over 1 million eyeballs and ears a year. 1 million. And in that first episode, I said we were going to start impacting millions. I didn't even have a vision for what that would look like or what that would sound like or, what that means. And it's just pretty incredible that after 3 years, we're already, at least again, we measure impressions. We're not making content, and I'm not making content for likes and follows and stuff, right? Like I want the good people to follow and like and share. And I want this to get out to people who appreciate and value it, and they're going to implement it. right? But I'm not going to share things just because I want it shared. I'm going to share things that are true, that are going to actually help people, and the truth will set you free, right? So, share the show, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. But, we're not going to change the content of GLE just because, we think this is a hot topic that's going to get some follows. Now, we'll talk about important things and we'll try to be smart, wise as serpents, harmless as doves, as the Bible says, right? But, all this like, post a reel and follow this trend. And those things are actually training conformity behavior. Jobs, school, peer pressure, crowds in general, social media, TV, they all train conformity behavior. You fit in with everyone else, do what everyone else does. Here's what everyone's talking about. Talk about what everyone else is talking about. Be like everyone else. Do the popular trend thing on TikTok, and the algorithm will show you to the world. Homie, don't play that. Okay? Like, we're not going to do that. We're going to do content that's true and helpful for people. And if it gets shown to people, great. And if the devil algorithm doesn't want to show it to people, then whatever. God's word will work and it'll get to the ears of who needs to hear. And I have total and complete faith in that. I've also had people start to reach out to me daily, weekly, monthly, just wanting advice on faith, communication skills, leadership, business, real estate, insurance, asking me to come on their podcast, asking to be on my podcast, wanting to do business ventures together. It's pretty incredible. The first 1, 2, 3 years were really, really tough. People wonder, Phil, when do you have time to do all this stuff? Well, when do I have time? It's 5 a.m. right now. 5 a.m. I've been up since 3. When do I have time? You need to get real with yourself and figure out what you really want and figure out what it's going to take. Because if you're not willing to do what it takes, then just stop thinking about it. Like, quit even worrying about it. Stop lying to yourself. For a while early on, I've learned this lesson the hard way. I had to get really real with myself for the last, year or so. And you learn a lot as you start business and things fail and things aren't going well and you got challenges and it's not what you thought it was and it's way harder than you thought it was and way lonelier. And, it's a lot of growing up to do. It's worth it, I thought. I still think. And you just got to get real with yourself on what you're willing to do. And that brings me to the most important lessons I've learned in the first 100 episodes of GLE. Now, there's probably more. I know I'm probably leaving some out and leaving people out, but these are some of the big ones that I wanted to share. 1, seek out people you admire, people you want to listen to their advice. Tune out advice from people who don't have what you want. They're going to try to give you advice. They think they're helping you. Don't listen to them. I'm telling you, if they don't have the results you want, don't listen to them. Some of the folks that have helped me the most, I'm just going to run through their names real quick. And some of these other lessons, I'll try to give them credit where I can. So Tony Whatley, Andy Frisella, Ed Mylett, Bradley, Chris Voss, Jordan Peterson, Greg Francis, Craig Siegel, Jordan Matthesius, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn, Alex Hermozi, Grant Cardone. I know I'm leaving like a bazillion people out, but that group of people, I've listened to so much of their content and they've helped me so much, like tremendously. And that doesn't even, like, those are just people podcasts like that I kind of listen to alive today that I know. Some might not be alive today, but those are ones I've really studied. I've got, book upon book upon book of authors that I could cite, but you get the idea. Now, some of the things I've learned from those people and others that have come on the show, other key things from books I've read just in the last 3 years, in the first 100 episodes of GLE. If you think you're a realist, which is what I used to think I was, you're probably negative, right? You're probably negative. I learned this one from Greg Francis, Craig Siegel. When Craig Siegel came on my podcast, I was uncomfortable. I'm like, who is this guy? He's fake. He can't really be like this. He's so like happy and energetic, enthusiastic, friendly, kind. I'm like, Guy's got to not be real. The guy is real. Like that. I've never met a more genuine guy. And it kind of made me go, man, I must be really negative. If I like, he is so nice, it makes me uncomfortable. Right. Right. And like generous. Like the guy is responding to DMs, responding to comments, commenting on my stuff. Like he doesn't have to do that. He's just a giver. He's just out serving. And Greg, my coach, getting messages from me, responding to messages from me every day. Right. Like guys that are serving at a whole new level. Right. And this kind of brings me to the next one. You're going to have to do hours and hours of work in the dark alone when no one's looking except God. No one's going to applaud you in an auditorium for it. No one's going to pay you for it. Well, you'll get paid for it eventually because you reap what you sow. But, right now it's 5:00. I've been up since 3. People ask me, how do you have the time to do all this stuff? Well, you got to make the time. And if you were going where I'm going, you'd be up early too. And I got that one from Jim Rohn, which is really good. And my little Aria Rose just woke up, so she might join us on the podcast. Come on down, Aria. Be a producer instead of a consumer. Be a producer instead of a consumer. I learned that one from Tony Whatley and Grant Cardone. Sit on your bed in a quiet room. Hey, baby. Come here. You want to be on my podcast? Come here. We'll take you to mommy in a second. I'm almost done. Be a producer instead of a consumer. I learned that from Tony Whatley and Grant Cardone. Jordan Peterson, sit on your bed. If you don't know what to do, sit on your bed, quiet room by yourself. Figure out one thing you could do, would do, and should do that would undoubtedly improve your life. And just start doing that. Just start doing that one thing every day. Be the thermostat and not the thermometer. Set the temperature in the room. That's a Greg Francis one. That's a big one. Do you set the temperature? Is your enthusiasm raise up a room or bring it down? Figure out how to be consistent with a daily routine. Andy Frisella, 75 hard. I'm not doing 75 hard. Andy's going to kick me for that because he's like, well, don't fake it. I get it, Andy. But, I think you need to just get real. And this is what I learned from Andy. Like, you need to get real with what you need to do and just figure out what it takes and be willing to do what it takes. It's not going to be easy. And that's what 75 hard is all about, is just getting, building discipline back into your life. And I've learned a lot about that mentality from Andy Frisella. You got to plan your goals and your day out, right? Jordan Peterson, Tony Whatley, sit down and write out a plan for your life. Start 30 years out, work back 10, then work back 3 to 5, then work back 1, then quarters, then monthly, then weekly, then daily habits. Mark time in your calendar and do those things daily, weekly, quarterly, monthly, right? Those are huge. Be grateful for the bullies, the no-shows, the insults, the lack of support from people you thought were your friends, the total support from complete strangers that are going to connect with your message. And, some of those complete strangers seem to love you just as much or more than some of your family does at times. I learned that one from Dominic Lee. He talked about that on his episode. Level up your image. Don't be afraid to stand out. Sterling Warner knows all about that one. Great episode with Sterling Warner. Justin Shank on the show, talking about healing the wounds you don't even realize you have. It's a big thing I've been doing. I've been finding wounds that I've had that I didn't even know I had, and really doing a lot of healing over the last 3 years. Don't take yourself so seriously. Stay playful. Keep it playful. I used to take myself way too seriously. And just recently on the show, had Oksana Fesek. She has some incredible mindset, sells mega yachts, and definitely has helped my mindset around not taking myself so seriously. Books, How Faith Works by Frederick Price. Huge book for me. Huge book for me. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend How Faith Works by Frederick Price. The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Another one. I got these from Greg Francis. I got these from Andy Frisella, others. Lots of people recommend The Magic of Thinking Big. But yeah, absolutely incredible books. So, Learning how to read. Got from Greg Francis. When you read, and Andy Frisella talks about this too. When you read, you got to write notes of what you're reading and actually apply it to your life, right? It's not just about getting through a book. So every chapter, take away at least one thing that you can apply to your life. And if you have a negative, this was in that Grant Cardone interview, that one back in 2022. Just listened to it this week, but it really stuck with me. If you have a negative response to something, if you hate something, then you probably quit something. And his example was drugs. Grant used to be addicted to drugs. He hates drugs. Absolutely hates them. Why? Because he quit them. He doesn't want drugs around him. He hates drugs. If you quit drinking, you probably hate drinking, right? You don't want to be around people that are drinking, right? If you hate something, you probably quit on it mentally, right? Doesn't mean it's wrong to quit on something, but it's just something to be mindful of, right? If you want something to go away, just stop tolerating it. I learned this from Bradley, the old BL from the bomb squad. Brad, appreciate you, man. I've listened to a lot of Bradley, resonate a lot with Brad. I relate a lot with Brad. He's pretty cool. I think when you admire something in someone, it means there's a piece of it in you. So like all these people I admire, I know there's pieces of them sort of in me, similar traits that, there's reasons why I admire them the way I do. And so I'm working on building those. But Brad, man, stop tolerating what you don't want and it'll go away. It will. Don't put up with it. I'm telling you, if you don't want something, just don't put up with it. It'll go away. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. My good old friend and business partner, Mike Dibble, pointed me to this guy, Earl Nightingale. The Strangest Secret. Absolutely incredible. Listen to it dozens and dozens of times. Huge stuff. Learn the rules of the game. If you're not learning the rules of the game, then you're definitely going to lose because you don't even know how to play. And you got to learn the temporary game in this world, but we're playing ultimately an eternal game, and we got to keep that in mind. So that one is huge. Question everything. Seek, knock. It will be opened. Study to show thyself approved unto God, both to will and to work. Be sober-minded, not easily fooled. Ask in Jesus' name. Believe, receive. It is yours. The desires of your heart will be given to you. It will be opened to you if you ask in faith. You can go from faith to fear in an instant. Remember the story of Peter walking on the water? He was walking on the water, and then he started sinking because he doubted. He became fearful. He had his fear, love, and trust in something besides God, as opposed to having his fear, love, and trust in God. Don't fear only him who can harm the body, but fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell, right? So you should fear God, righteous fear, right? Knowing that he is the almighty God who can destroy both soul and body in hell. But he's also a loving God, right? Which is why he sent his son to die for you. As we wrap up episode 100, I got Arya Rose here with me, my sweetie. This is how we find time, right? I don't think this could not be planned, but divine timing, I suppose. As we wrap up episode 100, pause the episode, folks. Pause it. Pause this episode right now. Go follow, subscribe on current platform you're listening to, on other platforms, all social media. Help these messages get out to leaders across the world. The world needs leaders like you to step up and do what's right. We're going to stick together. We're going to learn together. We're going to stand together. We're going to fight together. We're going to put our fear, love, and trust in God above all things. GLE is the premier network of faithful, loving, truth-seeking, courageous leaders. And this ain't some BS statusy group. We make real change in our families, in our communities, right where we are. And the GLE Network will change the world for generations. We're already getting out to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and beginning to touch millions a year. And we're on our way to tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and dare I say billions of people around the world as we head to the next 100 episodes and beyond. We only grow by word of mouth. So as you go, share the show and go lead everything.